welcome to another episode of CPAC Now, America Uncanceled. I'm Matt Schlapp, joined by my talented wife, Mercedes, and we have a great show for you today. We want to give you an update on where we are on going after these companies that have decided to become woke and become arms of the new Democratic Socialist Party in America. We're making a lot of progress on that. We'll give you an update on what's going on in the world, but we always like to bring you a newsmaker, somebody who's out there really making a difference. And I want to read a tweet from this newsmaker, Congressman Lee Zeldin. Excuse me, but my eyes are getting a little old. I'm going to read it. From Lee Zeldin. I'm unapologetically proud to be an American, Jewish, a strong ally of Israel, vocally opposed to anti-Semitism and BDS, pro-police, and an Army vet. I see Jews under attack in New York and cops not set up to best defend them, and it only makes me fight harder, speak louder, and hold my views stronger. Well said, Lee Zeldin. Thanks for joining us on CPAC Now.
Oh, it's great to be with both of you. Thank you, and thanks for your strong principled leadership.
So we're watching what's happening across the country with these attacks occurring in the Jewish community. I mean, there is fear, there's terror. What are you doing? What do you recommend to the Jewish community to make sure that they are safe during these troubling times?
Well, first off, we need to singularly, emphatically, forcefully identify, confront, and crush anti-Semitism in every form. And when you're seeing violent anti-Semitic attacks, this isn't something where we should be drawing moral equivalencies like all hate matters. The double standards that we see, the hypocrisy that we see has unfortunately resulted in a weakening, a watering down of a response. And what happens by being silent is you can end up empowering, elevating, embracing anti-Semitism, even through your own silence. What we have seen in many respects from college students facing targeting of anti-Semitism through the BDS movement. We have seen it in the halls of Congress and people close to members of Congress where they promote policies that might be accusing Israel of terrorism when a terrorist group like Hamas, an Iranian proxy like Hamas, is firing rockets at innocent Israeli citizens, where Israel uses rockets to defend people, Hamas uses people to defend rockets. And with both statement and policy, we are seeing many within the Democratic Party changing the debate here in America, and in many ways contributing either intentionally or unintentionally to an erosion, a situation where the Jewish community feels under attack and threatened. They're questioning whether or not there's strong bipartisan support like there once was. And they're also questioning whether or not their elected officials are truly going to do everything in their power to identify, confront, and crush anti-Semitism in all its forms.
So the Democratic Party has decided to create a new coalition where they cozy up to terrorist states like Iran, which they believe has a domestic political benefit, and they have really cut this big emphasis on their Jewish supporters, their Jewish voters, strong support for Israel. What's your thinking?
You know, it's unfortunate, and we saw it during the Obama administration. It's starting to creep again into more of government during the Biden administration, where we will treat a country like Israel as if it's Iran, we'll treat Iran as if it's Israel. And what was a very welcome relief during 4 years of the Trump administration is that we were treating Israel like Israel and Iran like Iran, and we understood that adversaries do not respect weakness, they only respect strength. We can't be silent, not because we want war, but because we want to prevent it. These were some of the principles and values that we saw emerging more to the forefront. But now we have one party. It's not just a Democratic president. It's one party Democratic rule. And actually here in New York, we're experiencing one party Democratic rule at every level of government. The first time in my lifetime, we're going into a midterm with one party rule in New York City, Albany, and DC at the same time. And as a result, our foreign policy on the national level is being eroded. We are being tested by adversaries. They will continue to test us more. and we show that we don't have a backbone and strength to confront these adversaries in the strongest, most effective, and also peaceful ways possible. And as a consequence, we end up in a worse shape, more on our heels, more on defense. Our allies are under attack. And we are left here scratching our heads saying, why are these people in charge going in the direction that they're taking America and America's foreign policy?
So you mentioned about the one-party rule. I think that's a fascinating topic. Obviously, we saw the House of Representatives pass H.R. 1. Now it's in the Senate. Hopefully it should die there, but you never know with these senators. But in particular, explain the dangers of H.R. 1, the For the People legislation. This is something that's obviously very partisan, as we know, in terms of impacting the voting system in the U.S., creating, in essence, a one-party system.
Yeah, and to be clear, when the Democrats call their bill the For the People Act, the people they have in mind are the Democratic politicians. So for anyone out there in the American public who think the For the People Act might be for them, it's actually to reach into their pockets and make sure and force them to be funding annoying robocalls, for example, to their own houses to support candidates that you disagree with. I mean, the idea of a taxpayer-financed election all across the entire country is a horrible idea. H.R. 1 seeks to federalize elections. It's written right into our United States Constitution that we should have state legislatures creating the policies of how to conduct these federal elections within their states. They want to ban voter ID all throughout the entire country. They want to force a legalization of ballot harvesting all across the entire country. Yeah, For the People Act, it's really For the Politicians Act, and it really needs to die a painful death over in the Senate. Joe Manchin is on the other side of the aisle, but gosh, I really hope that he makes it to the end of 2022 strong against this pressure, not giving in and becoming weak-kneed about this these filibusters.
Well, we talked about the anti-Semitism. We're talking about the fact that voter ID is equated with racism. We're told that you have to pack the court because of racism. You have to end the filibuster because of racism. All surrounding these radical concepts of 1619, that America wasn't established in 1776, but was established with the first slave who came here, and this whole idea of critical race theory. What can we do to end it?
Well, we need to get rid of critical race theory in every single public school everywhere in the entire United States of America, in every school of any kind, of any grade. And what we're seeing in a place like Florida, where you have a Republican governor, you're seeing action at that executive level to get rid of critical race theory in all schools within the state. But these other states, like a state like New York, where you have a Democratic governor and supermajority Democratic state legislatures, is that they are debating us on this. We're advocating for more civics in the classroom. We're saying that there shouldn't be indoctrination and brainwashing of kids inside of schools, but it's not a Republican governor or Republican legislature here. So that you take inventory of what your levers of power are at this moment to do something about it, and where you find yourself on your heels a bit and without that lever of power at a particular level of government, you look towards November 8th, 2022, and Americans are going to have an opportunity to change the balance of power in Washington and change the balance of power in more of these states. And that's how you're going to have more civics in the classroom. You're going to be able to appoint those who run the community colleges and the city universities or the state universities. And you can have that changeover in administration and vision, because it's quite sad. We were talking, I referenced BDS a little while ago. There are schools where if you take the pro-BDS position, the ceiling on what you could get on your essay is an A. But if you take the anti-BDS position, the ceiling on what you might get on your essay is going to be maybe a B. And that is just so incredibly wrong.
Oh, goodness, it reminds me of college when you had to write certain papers a certain way to get the A. It's ridiculous. But
I didn't do it, which is why I got bad grades. That's the reason.
But Congressman, you have launched your campaign to run for governor of New York. It's a blue state. It's a tough state. Now, with that being said, you probably have the most incompetent and corrupt governor today, Andrew Cuomo, who needs a lot of counseling from his brother, Chris Cuomo. Why run?
Well, we need to save our state, and we have a lot of New Yorkers who are looking at places like Florida where their money goes further, people feel safer, they're living life freer, and a lot of New Yorkers, and we're not just talking about Republicans, we're not talking about just conservatives. There are a lot of New Yorkers all across the spectrum saying, why can't we have that here? You can, but not with the current people who are in charge. I mean, these geniuses for their next act are talking about raising gas taxes, 55 cents a gallon, raising natural gas, propane, home heating oil costs. They're hitting people where it hurts the most in their wallets, at the pump, in their homes. The public safety is under attack, not supporting law enforcement. We need to reverse cashless bail, oppose the defund the police movement. We were just talking about the quality of education in the last question. I enjoy what I do in the House. I'm not looking for a reason to leave. I believe that Republicans are going to retake the House in 2022. Maybe I can run for leadership or a committee chairmanship, but this is an important endeavor for all New Yorkers and really for all Americans, wherever you're tuning in, to do everything in your power to affect the positive change, not get complacent. Don't let your frustration turn into complacency. Now is a time for us to double down and triple down on our beliefs, on our vision, on our effort and our energy, and making sure that we are providing that balance after the November 8th, 2022 election. I'm all in. I'm currently on an 8-day campaign swing, my 7th campaign swing across New York just since announcing April 8th. The fundraising's been great. We've actually already secured enough public endorsements to be the endorsed Republican candidate and to have the Conservative Party line as well here. It's a 62 county strategy. No county's too big or too small. We're going to win this race. I'm tired of seeing the Democrats on offense in red states winning seats. How great is it going to be in 2022 where we are going to be on offense in blue states with Democrats on their heels, and they're going to be losing their power where they used to feel the safest. So anyone tuning in, we need everybody's help wherever you are, getting involved in your local races and really changing the balance of power at every level where you see Democrats in charge.
Congressman, where can they go to help you?
ZeldinForNewYork.com, ZeldinFor, New York is spelled out, ZeldinForNewYork.com. We're on social media as well. If you could donate $5, we'd appreciate it. If you live in New York and you want to volunteer, that's great too. Getting involved in the conversation is much appreciated. And to Matt and Mercedes, you are both fearless, courageous heroes of the movement. You are principled. You're always all in for this cause of freedom and love of country, Constitution, and liberty. And I want to thank you for your leadership every step of the way. It's been unwavering. And as just one American, one proud American, I just want to say thank you for everything you do.
I just want everyone to know that Lee Zeldin is not my brother. And when he gives us that advice, it's because it's from the heart. Thank you, Congressman Lee Zeldin. We feel the same way about you. Every fight that this country has had, literally including serving your country in the military, you have been there. You have been there to stand up for the principles in the the House of Representatives. I think it takes a lot of courage to go back to the state of New York and say, it's time for common sense leadership, and we just respect the heck out of you for the fact that you're doing it. And thanks for joining us on CPAC Now.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to be right back after this short break. I love talking to Congressman Lee Zeldin, a great conservative from the state of New York. It's not always easy to do the right thing when you're from a tough state like that.
Gosh.
He does, and now he has the courage to actually run for governor and take on Governor Cuomo.
And there's a primary happening, right? So
Yeah.
it'll be an interesting process, but obviously he's well equipped to take on the toughness of New York. But I got to tell you, New York needs to change.
It does. It's happened before in New York. People say, oh, it's a blue state, but obviously Governor Pataki, I think, won 4 times. Rudy Giuliani transformed the city of New York City. Republicans have won in these blue areas.
Right.
Usually when the blue party, which is now fully socialist, destroys order, crime goes up, they don't have any common sense in their tax and regulatory policies. And even
right-thinking Democrats eventually say enough's enough
Well,
of this.
I mean, when you've got Cuomo as your governor, as your example of someone who has, I think, destroyed the state of New York,
Yes.
and you have more and more New Yorkers fleeing to states like Florida and the South, I think it is a wake-up call, I think,
and
for
also
this
the
state.
whole Me Too thing. I
That's
mean,
right.
how did he survive that? Democrats have demanded people resign for much less problems than he's had in the state of New York. So, and maybe his Me Too problems go well beyond New York. But I always think it's interesting. The worst of the left get the
And they
awards.
survived. They
He
literally
literally
survived.
got an Emmy.
Right.
It's weird.
And his book on leadership, I think he needs to rewrite the whole thing. I don't know about you. But, we want to give
You
you
ought to
a
write a book on retirement.
Well, we got to give you an update on what our Center to Protect Our Voices and our voters and our voices, what they're up to. We know that about a month ago, American Conservative Union sent a letter to several corporations. Delta was one of these letters that were sent because obviously Delta came out, the CEO came out very much in trying against
calling us all racist.
Right,
which is
against
unacceptable.
the Georgia voting laws, which were to ensure that we've had safeguards in the elections in Georgia. But guess what? The CEO has not responded. They have gone silent. They are not speaking up. They have not responded to our letters. So
Funny,
guess
when
we need
Stacey
your...
Abrams asked them to do things, they write letters and make statements. When the rest of the country, 75 million of us, ask them to simply correct their statement, they treat us with disrespect and say
That's
nothing.
right. That's right. So we put out a tweet at ACU over a month ago. We wrote on behalf of 75 million Americans to @Delta, requesting a meeting and demanding they apologize for equating Georgia's new election integrity laws with racism. Our concerns have been met with silence. Sign our petition to demand accountability. Go to conservative.org. We're going to ask you all, I've spoken to so many people who have told me, what can we do? How can we make a difference? Sign this petition, make calls to Delta, and tell them, respond to American Conservative Union. Why have you not responded to American Conservative Union? Because at the end of the day, the mere fact that they haven't even responded is just insulting.
And do what I've done. I've not bought the products of these companies that are taking these woke positions. You can't always do it in every case, but there's almost always a better alternative, and there's a lot of airlines.
That's right. But we've got CPAC Texas coming up. That's the good news. July 9th through the 11th at Dallas, Texas. And registration is open, so go to conservative.org to get your tickets. We're going to have some very big names attending this conference.
Come on,
it is a national conference.
It's time to start announcing some of these names. You got.
I'm with you. You're the one that has to announce them, not me.
Am I in charge of this place?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll get this going. We're going to start making some announcements.
Great.
It's going to be the people you want to hear from. And we love doing the show. We're going to keep you posted on what we're doing with these major projects to push back what we like to say, America versus socialism. Yes, we are the American Conservative Union. Yes, we put on CPAC, but it's really the America part that really matters in all of this. We love the country, although it's imperfect. We'd love to have changes. For instance, we'd love to have the unborn child be accepted into our community. There are problems in America, but people that are running America down, saying that it's hopelessly racist, that white people somehow are destroying this country. We want to get back to the vision of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., where we judge people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. It's the left now that is hyping up this idea that the color of your skin is the only thing that matters. And it's really
a left
sad
now
day.
that's dividing us. I mean, that's really where we are as a country. They're dividing us. That is
They're
right.
intolerant. They want to tell us how to live our lives. They want to tell you when you should wear a mask. They want to tell you what shots you should get. They want to tell you how big your drink should be of soda. They want to tell you what kind of car you can drive. I mean, I'm not buying one of those cars that has a plug-in. I'm not doing it. I'm certainly not buying a truck with that. What the heck is that all about? So we have a lot of insanity going on in this country because the Davos crowd has somehow infected our corporate culture into trying to make this the Duchy of France or something. It's not. It's the United States of America. 50 strong states. And you know what? a lot of us in blue states are thinking seriously about going to red states, because when you go to red states, you know what the number one thing you realize? People are joyful, and it's fun to be around people who are happy. Now, we're still happy, but some days are tougher.
Right. But we are headed to Bedminster. We're going to be meeting with some great patriots in New Jersey and spending time with them. Which I
So
think
it's not just Lee Zeldin in New York.
Yep.
It's a lot of freedom lovers in New Jersey who are trying to bring common sense and get rid of Governor Murphy up there.
And we'll be doing that. We're traveling across the country. We're meeting with great people like yourselves, and we want to stay connected. And that's why make sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at CPAC. I'm at Mercedes Schlapp. Matt, you're at M. Schlapp. We will make sure that we keep talking to you and keep sharing our thoughts, but we want to listen to your feedback as well, so make sure you stay connected with us. Thank you so much, and good night.